good afternoon all. So myself is Raghu. So we'll be looking into the shell scripting. Shell programming today. So is everyone able to view my screen? Okay, thanks. So before getting started, I would like to tell you, we'll just go with the basics and all. What is shell scripting and what it does basically, and what is the importance of a shell in an operating system. So yeah, so let's say we have the users, okay, so sitting on top of working on top of hardware, and we have certain hardware connected. We have some hardware available. So whether it could be like a CPU and some memory and some I/O, whatever it is. Disks and all, some storages or tape drives connected. So whatever it is, we have so much hardware. So as a normal user, okay, so see, as a normal user, I cannot directly go and talk to this particular hardware. Okay, so there has to be a medium between. So that's the reason we are installing an operating system in between. Okay, an user and a hardware. Okay, so now user is the one going to interact with the operating system. Okay, and hence we are going to work on the file. Okay, and so what are the hardware responses? So as a user, will view on that particular screen. We'll see the output or whatever the job we have sent to the process basically. Now, so coming to the Linux and Unix operating systems. Okay, so your your complete operating system is not responsible of managing this particular hardware. Okay, whereas you have certain part, okay, of the operating system which take care of okay, so managing this particular hardware. Okay, so that particular one is nothing but called as kernel. Okay, so kernel is nothing but a heart of the operating system. Okay, what it does is it manages everything basically. Okay, hardware connected to that particular operating system, and whatever the process you run, everything will be taken care of your kernel. Okay, so now, so the problem with the with the Linux and Unix operating systems is, okay, so even as a normal user, okay, we are user, and as a normal user we cannot directly talk to the kernel, because okay, it is very difficult to write a program or write a command where the kernel can understand, because kernel is a very low level language. Okay, that is the reason why people started facing difficulties. So that's the reason. So we are administrators. So of course, if it is a developer, yes, so they can write some code and manipulate something and perform something on the hardware. But so most the jobs are pretty increasing, and so more innovative, and so many things came into the picture. Okay, so that's the reason administrator job is also has become one of the part. Okay, some part of basically some part of industry is being occupied by administrators, which manages that particular operating system. So we're talking about Linux operating system, Linux administrators. Okay, so we are administrators, not developers. We don't write code basically where this particular kernel can understand. So that's the reason. Okay, so a shell has been introduced in between. Okay, shell has been introduced in between this particular user and this particular kernel. So shell has been introduced here. So what it does basically, so it does nothing basically. It takes the input from the user and it converts into the human whatever the kernel understandable language. So it converts that particular input, and what the kernel returns, again it returns to the user. This is what happens. And if anyone has an idea like how these particular commands are being executed in in Linux and Unix operating systems, is through most of the scenarios it is through CLI. Okay, so whenever you execute something on the CLI or a terminal, ls command or something like that. Okay, so it is going to, you are executing in a shell, that is nothing but you are executing in a shell, and shell sends that particular instruction to the kernel, and kernel performs something on the IO or hardware. Okay, and whatever it returns, okay, it returns to the kernel. Kernel again returns to the shell, and shell again returns to the command prompt. So what shell is going to do here, it converts that particular output into a human readable format, and it displays on the output screen. So this is the major job of the shell in an Linux operating system. So as this is the major role, okay, so this is not a, of course this is a part of an operating system, but an operating system can run without a shell. Okay, so shell, okay, without a shell there is of no use of an operating system can run, but there is absolutely no use with the operating system, because we cannot run, okay, anything without a shell. Okay, so we want to execute a command, so that anyhow we require a shell. So there are so many shells has been introduced by so many authors. Okay, so among them so many are famous, but in our classes we are going to talk very one language which is very famous, so that is bash programming, or bash shell script. So there are so many shells available, I mean, around the market or the, I mean, scenarios, but bash is the, which is the pretty advanced one, and it is very easy for the administrators. Okay, syntaxes are very easy. Okay, and it is so powerful. Okay, so that's the reason this we are going to talk completely our shell scripting through bash shell. Okay, yes, so you can ask me basically what is the difference, and so many shells are there, what is the difference is going to happen. Yes, there are differences, and the commands which we are going to talk about, okay, in our classes, so those command syntaxes are different from shell to shell. So that is the only difference, and apart from that, the commands whatever you execute, either you execute ls command, cat command, those are common. You execute any shell, those commands is fine. But there are some shell commands, okay, so those certain commands, for those commands only the syntaxes will be different. Okay, so we are going to talk about bash. So the bash is nothing but a Bourne again shell. And prior to bash, okay, there was one more shell used to be, which is a famous one, so that is Bourne shell. So Bourne shell is the one which you can find in each and every operating system. You take Unix, you take Linux, you take Macintosh, anywhere you'll find a shell that is Bourne shell. Okay, so that there are a couple of guys who has rewritten this particular Bourne shell, and they have written a shell which is more advanced, more faster, more easy, okay, kind of way. So they have written a bash shell, and you have CSH shell. So most of the programmers are, if they want to write any kind of script basically to execute on any server, they prefer CSH, because the syntaxes is almost similar to the C language. So these are the pretty, I mean, widely used shells all over the, I mean, environments. And so we are completely going to talk about the bash shell. So this is the shell we are going to talk about. And so let's, I mean, so why we are going with the shell scripting? So we are here, okay, to learn the shell scripting basically. So there has to be some use where this particular shell script can be, I mean, where you can apply basically. So why we use shell scripting? So the first major task why we use shell scripting is nothing but to automate the tasks, to automate the day-to-day job, whatever we do. Okay, so we use shell scripting, automate the tasks. So whatever the jobs or tasks or jobs, you can say, whatever we do in our day-to-day job, okay, so if you want to automate those things, yes, so obviously the basic thing you have to look into is nothing but a shell scripting. Okay, so by doing this particular automation, what you are going to do, so you automated your job, so that is nothing but you created a tool. Okay, so you know how tools are so powerful in the, even in your day-to-day life also. I mean, so tools are like something like you can talk about a screwdriver. Okay, so can you imagine a day without a screwdriver and to remove that particular screw from a wall or from a wooden thing. So it is highly, I mean, it is possible, but you have to struggle a lot. So the same way, the scripting language, shell scripting, is also nothing but we are going to make tools basically, okay, which you can make your job easy. So I mean, but by automating this particular job, you made some tools, and also what you are going to achieve is nothing but you are going to save a lot of time. You are going to save a lot of time. So let's say, I mean, a job is there. I mean, a certain job which you need to execute in a certain point of time. So what you need to do is, if you are not going with the scripting, so what you have to do is you have to log into the, I mean, you have to log into that particular server at the point of time which you need to execute that particular job, and you have to do it manually. But if you go with the scripting, okay, so what you can do is you can schedule that particular, you automate the task whatever you want to perform, and you simply place that particular script in the cron job. Now cron is going to taken care. Okay, if it is a single command, of course, without writing a script also your cron can take care. But if it is a multiple commands, okay, which you want to group it, yes, you have to take the help of shell scripting. So hence you're going to save a lot of time. And also, like time saving, let's say you need to perform a patching, let's say a core administrator job. What you need to do? So you need to perform, let's say a bug has been bug has been identified, and you need to perform that particular a patch to that particular servers, okay, number of servers which are affected with that particular bug. Okay, so what you need to do, let's say nowadays, IT industry is growing like anything, so you can see thousands and lakhs of servers in the pretty small companies, also medium scale. So to handle those servers, so you have to be okay. So let's say you are going manually, you require so much time, okay, to perform on 100 servers. Let's say to perform a single job on 100 servers, a single person, okay, so it may take a day if you are going to manually, okay. But if you go with the scripting, from a single server or from a single desktop, you can apply that particular patch to all the 100 servers at a time. That depends upon your network performance and all things, but still, yes, that is possible. You save a lot of time. Okay, let's say a minute is being taken for executing a script on a single server. Okay, so 100 servers means, so you have to log into each and every server, you have to execute a script. Obviously, it may take some time, but if you go with the scripting, you can parallelly push that particular script or patch, okay, to all the servers at a time, and you can see the output in less than 5 minutes, I can say, if it is a 100 server. But if you go with normally, yes, it is going to take a half of the day or a day also. So you see a lot of time over there basically with the shell scripting, and yes, so hence you are achieving manpower. So the same example, okay, so the patching is so critical, which has to be pushed in couple of hours, okay, so you have to pull each and every resource available into that particular job, and you have to perform patching manually. So instead of to avoid that one, again, yes, okay, a single person can perform a single job on multiple servers at a time. So these are the pretty advantages, and you can say are the usage of the shell scripting basically. Yes, so we're talking so much about advantage of shell scripting, but yes, there are some disadvantages also with the shell scripting. So what are those disadvantages? Let's see. So disadvantages are pretty simple and can be ignorable basically, but yes, theoretically those are disadvantages. So it is platform dependent. So what is this particular platform dependent is, so in Linux we have so many operating systems, okay. So the popular one on the server side is Red Hat or CentOS or Oracle Linux, okay. So and whereas the other versions of Linux also you have OpenSUSE and other versions like Debian, Ubuntu, okay. So like this you have so many kinds of operating systems available, okay. So if I write a script on a single platform, let's say on a Red Hat server, okay. So if I want to perform the same, or if I want to execute the same script on let's say on a Ubuntu server, so there are chances it may fail. Why? Because okay, in shell scripting what we are doing, the commands whatever we execute in our job, we'll just keep those commands in a script and we'll execute that particular script. Okay, so by now what is the challenge over here is nothing but, okay, so whenever you are executing the same same commands on multiple platforms, there can be syntax differences or the command differences to perform the same job. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, so it is a completely platform dependent. So you have to check each and every possible scenario, and you have to make certain conditions. If it is, yes, you can overcome this one platform dependent, but you have to place pretty more code into the scripting, say, by checking whether what type of operating system it is. So the script you are running, whether it is a Red Hat Linux or if it is a Ubuntu Linux or whatever Linux it is, you have to check it properly. And so the commands belongs to that particular operating system, you can execute those. Okay, yes, we can overcome this one by writing some extra code. We can overcome this. Now, so we have another a small disadvantage with the shell scripting is it's time consuming and more process. So why it is a little time consuming? So let me give you a small example. Okay, so we have so all the time we're talking about shell scripting is about grouping the commands. Okay, so whenever we group the commands, okay, what happens basically? So let me give you a small example. So this is the script, let's say. Okay, so let's say I have a couple of commands. Okay, some command. One second. So I have one command, let's say, okay, so to perform something, and second command to do something, third command, fourth command, something like that. Okay, so 5 commands I have total. Okay, so let's say I'm executing all the commands I just placed into. Okay, so that particular script, I'm executing this particular script. Okay, whatever it is. So / that particular script I'm executing. Okay, so I'm executing this particular script. Okay, obviously all these particular, okay, so commands will be executed. Now how many, so if you just check how many okay, so how many number of processes are being created, okay, on this particular thing. Okay, if we see, okay, so how it gonna be is, let me show you. Yes, so 1 command, 2 command, fourth command, fifth command. Okay, so some commands I have placed like this. Now, so I'm executing this particular script with some / script. Now, so whenever I'm executing this particular script, what is going to happen? Okay, now, so the script is executing. Obviously, it requires a process ID. So the script is executing, and it requires one process ID. So PID for that particular script. So the count is, so one process ID for this particular script, whatever it is executing. Now, so we have total 5 commands. So which is nothing but 5 process. Okay, so altogether, okay, it has become 6 process. Now this is fine, but okay, let's go with some scenario. Okay, so this particular command, if it fails, there is a chance this particular command may fail. Yes, so if this particular command fails, so let's have a scenario like that. Okay, all these commands are going to fail. If such scenarios, okay, so you have to validate it. Yes, we go with the shell scripting. We are going the shell scripting all the time. We're talking about shell scripting is all about grouping the commands, whatever we execute in our day-to-day job. Yes, now we group out commands. Yes, we are done. But what is the point of going with the shell scripting is nothing but now. So simple example, if this command is failed, okay, so obviously all these commands are going to fail. If those fail, that's fine. Okay, but okay, so if these failing of these commands, if they leads to some damage to the particular machine or that particular server, then yes, you have to bother about that one. So to avoid such scenarios, okay, so it is always your responsibility to check whether it is done properly or not. So for that particular doing, you need to add some code in between command to command. You need to add some code. Okay, so to validate whether your previous command has been executed properly or not. If it is failed, or if it is failed with a known issue, okay, so if you want to fix it, yes, so you have to add some code in between. So like that, for each and every command, if it fails something, okay, if you want to add something, okay, so some additional code has came in between, okay. So that's, I mean, so additional code is nothing but additional commands. Additional commands means more number of commands means, so previously it was 5 process, now it is, so let's say some 10 to 15 process, okay, so 15 process now, okay. So always it is a simple logic, like the time taken for 15 commands is always more than time taken for 5 commands, okay. So it is a little time consuming. Theoretically, yes, it is time consuming, but it is very, it is very small, basically, because you are saying here hours of hours. So we see in the previous advantage, okay. So we are saving, let's say hundreds of hours you want to push a single patch. We are saving a lot of time basically over there, hours and hours, lot of manpower we are saving. So as those are very simple, pretty commands, but more process IDs means consuming more resources, obviously, yes, but still it takes very less time, and we can simply ignore that one. So I think I missed it. Yes. So second one is time consuming or more process, whatever it is. Yes. We can simply ignore this one. Why? Because we are saving a lot of time. Because of we are saving a lot of time, we can simply ignore this one. Now, so this is about pretty basic, very brief description about what is a shell and what is the use and what are the disadvantages with that one. Now, so okay, so now what we are going to teach in shell scripting. Yes, so shell scripting we already talked about. If we place those particular commands in a script and if we execute that particular script, our job is done actually. Okay, but why we are going with the shell scripting and what we are going to learn in the shell scripting is nothing but, okay, so the commands whatever you are placing in between here, okay, to make the logic or to check whether this particular command is success or failed, or to check this command successful or failed. Okay, if it fails you need to do something. Okay, so those things if you want to check. Okay, so we are going to always talk about the commands which can make the logic. Okay, so we are not going to talk about the commands whatever your job requires. Okay, so that is always yours, because a system administrator has a different commands, a database administrator has a different commands, application administrator has a different commands. Okay, developer will have its own commands. Okay, so we are not going to touch your commands. Okay, but we are going to always talk about the commands which can make the logic out of your commands. Okay, so that is what we are going to talk in the shell scripting.